Just before I go on to the SDXL workflow, I mentioned replacing the color of an image, and I could select very specific pixels within an image. If I take this pad image and I put the preview there, I'm going to pad whatever image comes in. I'm going to pad it with this gray color. And put this as Control B, so it's, or mute or whatever, but so that it's not saving an image every time that I experiment with this. And if I wanted to replace this color here, I could, I forgot the name of it earlier, but anyway, image remove color. And by remove, they kind of mean replace. So within the padded image, I'm going to replace this image. And I don't actually know what color this gray is currently. I haven't set it in this pad image for outpainting. I think in other outpainting padding images, things I might set the color and therefore I would disconnect it directly. But in this one, I don't know it there. So I could, if I could detect it by eye, copy in the RGB values there. But instead, I can use a color picker. And this is a custom node that's already downloaded there. And for that, I can click this blue to pick color from screen and pick this gray, and it's 127 RGB. And of course, I can't connect these, so I can double click to expand out all of these values here. And I need to then connect this to the target color for R, G, and B. And I guess this doesn't look like it's going in a train, but this should, when I run it, change. It might be kind of awkward to run because it has to go backward, but it at least knows the 127. So it's changing this to white, which is 255. So if I change, let's say, full intensity red and 0 intensity on green blue, it should change it to red as set by 127, because that's what's coming from the original image. It's staying at 127. But this is one way to get the color. I might have to disconnect it, get the color again, get these values again awkwardly. Maybe there's a better way to do it. But that's how I could replace the color in an image. And you kind of see there that if it's finding that color on the original image, it's also replacing that. That's why you're getting that around the eyes and the neck. Okay, so I'm going to just delete everything again by holding down Control and Delete. And before we go on, I might just say that we can translate text. So prompt text auto translate, again, custom node automatically installed just for your custom setup. And this is going to translate whatever text I have inside of this box. And I need if I was to press play, which I think I showed you already, but if I push play, it says no outputs, so it doesn't work. But if I do display any, it's my go-to for just display something. So I can say this is the source, and this is going to translate the text. I have some text, given I'm not fluent in Arabic, but here is some text that I got earlier, and it's going to basically contact Google for this, based on how that custom node works. And I can see there it's translated it to a human eye level view of a center of an Arab village, which is what I typed in, and I converted to Arabic. And it just picks up on the language, like kind of Google Auto Translate. It doesn't work with all the languages of Google Translate, but it works with most of them. So there we go. So that's just Auto Translate, which can be used. But of course, when you're doing this, the image prompt itself will be in English, and we can send this to SDXL and Flux that work with English. There are other models that you might have to download yourself, but especially ones coming out of China that are multilingual. So the multilingual models mean you could do inputs in other languages and in that sense capture some things that English might not capture that well that other languages do better. So it's an option there. Okay, so let's delete everything and start fresh so we kind of understand what are the components in a just regular workflow. So load checkpoint is the first one. And even though it was done for you, that if I go Comfy UI models, there've been quite a number of files that have been downloaded and pasted into this folder on the network. But if you go to checkpoints, this would normally be empty just with this put checkpoints here. These are 5 that I have downloaded. I think you have at least one of them anyway. And that's in the checkpoints folder. There's a different ones models in the diffusion models. This is where I have all my Flux models. And in ControlNet, I have other models downloaded. And there's lots of models here. And these checkpoint here is just referencing that folder. So it's just taking the names that are available from that folder. So if it loads with something that, like let's say you downloaded a workflow and has even just one character different in its name, it's not going to load it because it doesn't match. But you just left click and say, these are the ones I have available. Now I'm using SDXL 1.0. Then I need to use text code or clip. Let's do clip text encode prompt. This is our default way of sending. I'm going to make a copy of them. Hold down Alt and drag, left click and drag. And by themselves, this is just 2 conditioning. It doesn't say which one's positive, which one's negative. But when I make a ksampler, which is the sort of operation that's going to run our whole thing, then I'm going to connect this one to positive. I'm going to connect this one to negative. So now I'm going to write what I think should appear in the image here. And if I want to say things not to appear in an image, I would write them down here. For Flux, it doesn't take negative prompts. So it's just going to ignore what's in this negative prompt. But I also like to color them in so it's a bit more obvious. So red, green, yellow for inputs, and black for the sort of main operation. Latent image is currently blank. I think if I double click, no, it doesn't give me the option. I thought it might do the option. So I can do empty latent image. And it's currently at 512. This is another option that I could just double click here, set it for both. So I can just change this to 1024, always keeping it as square. You could just change both manually. And let's make them black as well. Okay, so coming out of the latent image, this is still like in the embedding space. I need to decode it. So I can look at decode, and the one I want is VAE decode. And I can see pink to pink. There we go. That doesn't match in words, but that's where it goes. It also wants this VAE, so I can grab this VAE from here. And that's there. It has an image. It's currently not previewing or saving that image. I'm just going to do preview. It helps if I had saved that image from before. So if I do image save, I just want to copy that text that I had earlier. But once you save one of these image saves in your workflow, you can just kind of copy it into all the other ones. And let's make this blue. Because we're saving, I guess we don't need the preview anymore. Okay, and let's make this black. Okay, so that's back to what it was for the original. If I do giraffe in a spacesuit, missing something. So I can see I didn't connect the model, which is a must. And this is the basic, also what loads as the default if you close everything. This is the basic SDXL workflow. We can see there that we get the giraffe at 1024 by 1024. One thing I'm going to do now, and I kind of mentioned about taking the text out of these nodes. So I can double click that to get that out, and double click to get that out. Is I'm going to use a custom node in order to make a kind of remote control connection, which is much tidier when it gets to more complicated scripts. And we can kind of just start with that, that now. And this is again a custom node that has been downloaded and installed. So we can do set node coming from KJ nodes and get node. And this is how we make a wireless connection of text or images or anything we want really. And it needs to have a matching constant. So in this one, I can set, say, negative or just neg for negative, and it changes the name up here to neg. And then from here, now this appears as an option to say neg. So this is now set neg and get neg. And I could, so this text here actually won't let me connect to that. So that's one thing that's kind of just annoying about ComfyUI, that it's really specific about its data types. I just use CR prompt text. And it's just text, but this one works where this one doesn't. And I might just do here text watermark, the standard negative thing here. I'm going to make all of these red. And I could collapse this because I don't need to see it anymore. Just there. And now I can connect this here, the string in, as get neg, and collapse that in there. And now this is controlling, you know, it's kind of wirelessly going from here to here and then into there. I can collapse this as well. And now let's do the same with the positive. I can just copy those, change this to POS, and make these green. Keep one down here as well. And then giraffe in a spacesuit. Just paste that in there. And then I need a get node. And right click, let's make it green. And set the constant to positive. So now I have the list of what I have available. And these could be images as well. And now I can just delete this text next anymore. I can collapse this as well. Okay, so this essentially is the exact same as we ran it before, but now we have these prompt text out here on the side. So one node that I created for EAC is save param as SVG. I generally make this blue as well. And one of the reasons we have, let's say, done this method is we can now just copy and paste these. And we can say whatever the text is, let's just put that into the prompt and the negative prompt. Maybe I should rename that as positive prompt later rather than this prompt. Then I can also get, let's say, the steps out of here. Oops, I didn't mean to change that. 20. And say the seed. And I think if I put fix there and random here, this random should override that one. We can see how that works. Okay. And then I can connect seed here and steps to here. Model, I'm just going to enter in manually and to put SDXL. Author, I'm going to put James. This won't run, I think, if you don't have the settings in. It's already designed to have the exact same folder structure and naming structure, but with the ending as param. And these are just messing with the text. So now if I click play, I'm going to just make these black as well. Now if I hit play on this, it's going to generate a new image, but it's also going to save some of that data as an SVG. So if I go to output, today's date. So now I have SVG and a YAML file, which is just another way of saving out the text and this image. So all with the same date and time. So they're going to appear in the folder if I have lots of them together. But now I've got this image, but I can also, I think this should load in Chrome. Yeah, there we go. This will load in as text as an SVG. So it's like copyable text with SDXL, James, the date, the number of steps, the seed, the prompt, the negative prompt. And now I can just, if I was to upload that to the Miro that I shared. Yeah, there we go. Here's an example from Omar. But image and the SVG that goes with it. And in that sense, it's just really fast to create a folder structure where the settings are saved so that we know the settings of every single image that you create, and you just have a folder that's recording everything, and you go back in it. One thing to mention though, and this is kind of strange, I never really knew this was even possible, but inside of an image is some metadata, which is the entire workflow of Comfy UI. And if people do share their Comfy UI images online, you can actually just download them and drag those images into. So if I just go back to Comfy UI here, I'm going to just close these tabs here. And let's say I drag, sometimes the drag works and it doesn't. Let's say this remove background one. Yeah, there we go. There's the exact workflow that we used with the path, with the index at 9, this and the remove background. This was the workflow that created that this dog here. And if this workflow is like 10 times complicated, the same applies. That I can just take this guy here and say, what workflow were you created with? And everything is saved. Okay, let's go back to, close that, back to here. So now we have this saving our parameters, and we have some remote connections, and I might stop it here and I'll continue in the next video.